is the best remaining free agents on the market. So, who, in your opinion, would have to be the best remaining free agents in the league?
There was the report that Jonathan Taves and his agency, they have taken his name off the free agent list entirely because of him taking a break, and that was to be expected. The first names that come to mind are these two guys: his teammate Patrick Kane, and former New Jersey Devil and one-time Vegas Golden Knight, and alongside with that was a Stanley Cup finalist with the Montreal Canadiens, even though he didn't play in 2021 throughout the playoffs, Tomas Tatar. Well, Tatar may not have the pedigree that Kane has, and Kane may not be the player that he once was, but these two guys I immediately think of when these of the top remaining free agents available. Kane last played on a short stint with the New York Rangers in trying to go for expectations of an all-in push. Unfortunately, that didn't work out as they fell in 7 games in the first round to their cross Hudson River rival. Unfulfilled expectations. Unfortunately, the Rangers might not have the cap to keep Kane because they're trying to get all the remaining cap in trying to re-sign Alexis Lafreniere after they had most of their free agent spots filled out. Blake Wheeler, Nick Bonino, Tyler Pitlick, and they gave Keandre Miller a new contract, so that leaves Lafreniere as their priority. I don't know, because Lafreniere is a restricted free agent, he is subject to an offer sheet. Hearing that one team might be offer sheeting him, I just don't know who it is, but I'll have to check back on that. Kane is certainly up there, and I'm surprised, and some may be surprised that he is still on the free agent market, but he is coming off hip surgery. His hip wasn't feeling at its best throughout last year, and maybe that could have been why he's still on the free agent board for this long. He's 34, so probably maybe north of 3 years if a contract were to be given out at a modest term of around $5 million a year, but there is the league-wide cap crunch that every team is facing. So he's going to have to take a pay cut if he were to join a team. And the same thing might be said about Casey if he were to join along anytime between later this season, if he were to backtrack on his original decision of not playing this season, or next season if he were to stand on that. So Kane's there. He still has the sick mitts that he's known to, that Chicago fans have known and loved when he was there. Tatar, on the other hand, he can contribute to a team, albeit in a middle six role. That's where he is at right now. He's been linked to the Pittsburgh Penguins, so I'm not sure if the Penguins are going to try and make an attempt at signing him. But after the Erik Karlsson trade, I felt as if they're going to have to allocate their cap in activating Jake Gensel off the LTIR when he comes right back. So that was the main motivation on making this trade. That Erik Karlsson trade surprised many. Oh, did it surprise you? I'm asking.
It surprised me a little bit. It was definitely unexpected.
Yeah, it was. Considering that he just won the Norris Trophy. First defenseman to record 100 points in a season since Brian Leetch in 31 years ago. Then you look at Tatar. We apologize for the long pause on that, but Tatar, he played a full 82 games last season, mostly playing with Nico Hischier and Dawson Mercer on that line. Sometimes he had Fabian Zetterlund as his other line mate on the right wing side, but Tatar, he was Hischier's constant line mate. Now he's still on the free agent board. This deep into the off season. It's been well over a month and a half since the free agency period began, and to see that he's still on the board, oh, that is surprising to say the least, considering that he's coming off a 48-point season, which is actually not bad for a middle six forward. If I'm looking right back at his career trajectory, he has been consistent, especially in his time in Montreal when he was playing with Philip Deneau and Brendan Gallagher as his most consistent line mates. He did have 30 points in the shortened COVID season in 2021. That he played 50 games. Just appeared in 5 playoff games that year, so he didn't appear much, but he can still contribute on a middle six role. It wasn't too long ago since he had 61 points in 68 games for Montreal in 2020. Was part of the Max Pacioretty trade in which it sent Pacioretty to Vegas. Nick Suzuki came the other way, and Suzuki is now named the captain of the Canadiens. But Tatar, he can help out a team's middle six. So if you're one of those teams looking to sign a middle six forward to contribute, he's still there for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I would say probably Phil Kessel, the right winger that recently played for Vegas.
Yep.
Definitely, I mean, obviously, drafted 5th overall in 2006 and played 82 games last year, 14 goals, 22 assists, and 36 points.
And he can still score in patches. Yep, 14 goals is evidenced by that. And he's the current Ironman record holder among active players right now after Keith Yandle's retirement last year. So him being scratched for most of the playoffs, it does not affect his Ironman streak, but he's still there on the free agent board.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be 36 during next season. Can't believe that he's going to be 36 already. We're all getting old, you guys.
And, I mean, he is definitely a decent pickup, I would think. Like you said, he still can be a scorer, and he can definitely make things happen still, evident with the 14 goals and 22 assists last year. And the cap hit's only $1.5 million. So my biggest thing is, he played with Vegas last year. Does he work something out with Vegas to re-sign this year on a 1-year deal, or do we see him sign somewhere else?
We have yet to see that. If he were to come back with Vegas and run it back with them, I'm guessing a pay cut would do. Though Vegas, they have around $850,000 in cap space, so that's just enough if he were to take a big pay cut, probably at the league minimum, because they're allocating $5 million of their cap space in putting Robin Lehner on the LTIR. We don't know his status, but I don't really expect him to come back to the NHL, considering the double hip surgery and the financial troubles that he is dealing with. But Kessel could be a good fit on their current lineup, albeit in some bunches, because right now they have their lineup set, and Paul Cotter, Pavel Dorofeyev, that's their 2 young role players at their forward core. They're set to have a breakout after they trade away Riley Smith to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah. And then I guess 2 other ones that I just offhand looking. One's Josh Bailey, and the other one is Dennis Malgin. Malgin?
Yeah. Malgin, yeah.
Malgin. And for example, Malgin, the cap hits 750,000.
So that's a league minimum.
Yeah.
Well, previously, though they increased that to 775,000 for league minimum. Though, from what I heard, I think Malgin is playing in Europe now. Because he last played with the Avalanche, though. He is a free agent. His rights are not picked up by anyone in the NHL. I think he's on a 5-year deal overseas in Europe. So we might not be seeing him for quite a while, but he did have some nice production with the Colorado Avalanche this past season after they got him for Dryden Hunt, which is a bargain trade, a 1-for-1 swap. And Malgin picked up the pace in sheltered minutes. Good bottom six forward.
And another one that just kind of pops up, the site that I'm reading is just a little weird because it's like name, there's a team logo next to it.
You said Josh Bailey, if I remember?
Yeah, Josh Bailey was one. Yeah. And I could see, I don't know, how am I reading this? If I'm reading this right, the cap hit is $5 million.
5.5. I think $5 million previously, though he got recently bought out. Oh yeah, $5 million exactly. His previous contract was $5 million cap hits through 6 years, starting with 2019. He just had his final year bought out by the Chicago Blackhawks after they took on his contract and a second-round pick for basically nothing, because that's the terming of what future considerations means in the NHL. Keep in mind, this is not a Lou Lamoriello contract. This was a Garth Snow contract. So to have this contract being bought out means they finally got the final domino of the Garth Snow era fallen. But let's be honest, he was actually a bright spot and it's been a dark time for the Islanders back in the Garth Snow era. He was part of that team that won the first playoff series for the Islanders since '93 with David Volek's one-timer from Ray Ferraro. And now he's gone. He was a second liner with Anthony Beauvillier and Brock Nelson on his heyday, but this past season he was taken off their plans come playoff time, having seen his role being taken over by a cheaper acquisition in Hudson Fasching, and Fasching most consistently being on John Gabriel Pageau's line. Meanwhile, Nelson has found two new line mates with Pierre Engvall and Kyle Palmieri. Though Engvall, I may think that he's going to be either on the second or third line to begin the season now. Though Palmieri can also play the left side. Oliver Wahlstrom set to come back from injury, and he only plays on the right side of the wing. Fasching also only plays on the right side. So possibly, and seeing that Bailey is falling out of their plans, this was a necessary move for the Islanders to make in trying to shed off the final year of his contract, and he's still up there. Probably, if any team were to pick him up, it's probably going to be at a $1 million around that, or possibly league minimum, if anything. He doesn't have the vast pedigree that Tatar or Kane have, or Taves, but in shelter minutes, he can still provide some value. Not a lot, but some value.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it looks like we've kind of hit most of the remaining free agents. I'm sure we can always talk about more at a later time. Let's see.
if we're looking at most improved team and most disappointing team heading into this coming season. That's what I'm guessing.
Yes. Before that, let's play the ad from the spot.